Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Wit Family Fit. If you're new here, my name is Abby. I am a certified independent Optavia health coach, and today I am here to talk about transition, right? Transition. And some of you that are new or just exploring Optavia might be like, well, what is transition even? But today we are going to go through what transition is with the top 10 transition questions. So let's jump right in. I just wanted to say that the Habits of Health book by Dr. Anderson and the Life book, also by Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, the founder of Optavia, is the foundation for what I'm going to be talking about, as well as several digital tools that Optavia puts out there, not what I'm going to be talking about, but the resources I'm using to bring you this information. If you do not have your own copy of these two books, I highly recommend it because I think these are vital and essential to your long-term success because, as you know, if you've been around Optavia very long at all, this is not a diet, it is a lifestyle change, and the Fuelings are phase 1 in weight loss, but they do not carry you through the rest of your life, and these books and the habits you learn within them are what take the cake, for lack of better words. So, top 10 transition questions. First, let's begin. Let me state something that might not be obvious, but something that we need to have as a foundational truth for what we're doing. So, Optavia is a 4-phase program, okay? We're going to start by getting our weight down, weight loss, phase 1. Phase 2 is going to be reaching that healthy weight, which we're going to talk about. Phase 3 is optimization, and phase 4 is longevity. So the transition piece that we're talking about here is between phase 1 and phase 2, from your weight loss phase to your healthy weight phase. All right, so question number 1, will I eat Fuelings forever? Loaded question, but I would say in general the answer is no. So Optavia is a 4-part program, right? You have the Fuelings, you have your health coach, you have the Habits of Health transformational system, and you have the online group community of support, okay? So the Fuelings are just one leg of that stool. And the Fuelings are meant for use in the weight loss portion of the program. So in phase 1, to get you in a quick and efficient fat burn that is scientifically proven to melt that fat right off. So your whole 5 Fuelings a day and 1 lean and green, the point of that is to use those Fuelings to quickly and effectively get you the progress you want to see. The lean and green is to teach you how to cook meals that are going to sustain you for the rest of your life. Okay, so ideally, the thought would be that you can transition back to a regular whole foods diet and start adding in some of those things that you love that we set aside for the time being in weight loss, like fruit, for example, or whole grains. There are plenty of options of similar caloric and nutritional foods that you can have that you can just buy at the grocery store. And once you get into the healthy weight phase and transition into maintenance, the goal would be that you can use that food. Now, why did I say it was a loaded question? Because some people who are coaches and others, like myself as a coach, I love some of the Fuelings, and I know that I can't get anything as quick, easy, and nutritionally equivalent as the Fuelings from Optavia. So I do an order every month. I always have my coffee every morning with my Optavia brownie, and I always have a mint cookie crisp bar every day. And I usually have a brownie cooked per package instructions before I go to bed at night. So for me, even on a maintenance style plan, I'm going to be eating 3 lean and green style meals a day, plus 3 healthy snacks, and I just choose to use the Optavia Fuelings for those snacks, and you might do the same. But you can and should be able to have a wide variety of healthy foods once you're in the maintenance phase. All right, so question number 2, how do I know I'm ready for transition? Now, nothing can replace talking to your coach about this, because when they know you personally and they have set out your goals for you and help you decide what's a healthy weight according to the BMI chart and all the things, so they should be able to help you walk through transition itself, but also knowing when to transition. But our trusty handy dandy Habits of Health and Life book give us some requirements here for what they recommend as a good spot for transition. So this diagram says that you are looking to have your body mass index to be less than 25, your body fat, if you're a man, to be 18% or less, your body fat, if you're a woman, to be 25% or less, and your waist circumference for a man to be 37 inches or below, and your waist circumference for a woman to be 31.5 inches or below. So those are some basic general guidelines, and obviously that's not taking things into consideration like, the BMI takes height and stuff into consideration, obviously, but build, body, you guys know that you can have 10 different women at 150 pounds, have 10 different looks, right? So talk to your coach, look at your BMI chart. I would say that's a great way to start, a great place to start. For myself, I had set the goal of 130 pounds. I'm 5'6" tall, and I had set the goal of 130 pounds to be my transition spot. I got to about 150, 145, and I began to transition into a maintenance. I like to still go back and try to lose a little bit more every now and again. So there's that. But in general, when you reach your goal weight, or we even say go 5 pounds below your goal weight so that you have a little window to play with, because as you start to add foods back in and change some of your habits, you're going to probably see a little bit of fluctuation. But talk to your coach. I did want to mention one caveat to that. Not a caveat, but something important to mention. Sometimes we have clients say that my weight loss is slowing kind of before I get to my goal. I can tell you, for me personally, that last 15 pounds is always it's just hard to get the last 15 pounds. But I think a lot of that is mindset too, because you get a lot more comfortable when you're 65 pounds down from where you were. So you're not maybe as motivated to lose that last 15 as you were the first 65. But if your weight loss slows down, and this is coming straight out of the Life book, if your weight loss slows down or stops before you reach your goal, and guys, I'm being honest, it kind of has for me too. Like I told you, it gets to that 145, 150, and I'm gunning for 130. It might be because you're eating something off plan, which usually it's carbohydrates that are pulling you out of that fat burning state. It could be a plateau, which can happen if your basal metabolic rate is low to start with, and then it goes below the calories you're taking in on the program. But you can start to help that. If you're getting close to transition and not quite to that goal weight, and you start to notice a bit of a plateau, picking really deep green choices in your lean and green can kind of reverse that trend. So can eliminating any snacks. I mean, I've been guilty of an extra cheese stick every now and again, right? And being very careful with your condiments. So especially as you get to that last 5, 10, 15 pounds, as you're starting to think about transition and you're like, oh, it's just not happening. It seems like it's slowing down. Go back to the baby steps. Super lean, lean and green, deep greens, leanest leans, and then also watch those snacks and those condiments. That's our best advice for kind of that last final push before you get to transition goal weight. To the right pages in here so that if you have them, which you should, you know exactly where to go. So in the Life book, it is page 266, element 14. Okay, element 14, transitioning to eating healthy for life. And it goes all the way to page 281. So 266 to 281 is a must read and a must fill out for you as you're prepping to transition. And as I like to tell people, not having a plan is planning to fail. So as you start to get to that last 5, 10, 15 pounds, you need to be with your coach so you guys can start talking about transition. Additionally, section 2.8 in Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health, which is on page 315, is also entitled Healthy Eating for Life, Your Transition to Permanent Health. So section 2.8 on page 315 of the Habits of Health book and pages 266 through 281 of the Life book are where all the information in this video today is coming from. Okay, question number 3 is kind of an obvious one, but I'm glancing down at my notes. I feel like it's an important one to answer, and that is why transition? I've had clients say, but fat burn feels so good. Well, you can't stay in fat burn indefinitely forever, right? Because that's calorie deprivation and your body is in a state of burning fat. So if you have no fat left to burn or very little left to burn, you would get lower than your desired weight, which is not good. We don't want to starve you. Plus, this is a lifestyle change, not a diet. So we want to be able to offer you a full range of healthy foods for a good variety in your life and getting to live a modern day life with some of the pleasant options we have for eating that are not Fuelings, right? But still supporting your long-term goals for healthy weight. So fat burn isn't forever, which is why we need transition. But also, if we just cut cold turkey, like if we just said, oh, I'm going to do the Fuelings for 3 months and lose my 40 pounds, and you just went back to what you were doing and you didn't maintain any of those micro habits and you just started eating, McDonald's hamburgers and hot dogs again, obvious consequence, you're going to gain the weight back. So the purpose of transition is one, not only because once you reach goal weight, you need to get out of fat burn, but two, it's to slowly reintroduce your body into some foods that you have avoided during phase one and see how they react so that you don't have a negative weight gain right away. Okay, that was number 3. Which conveniently leads us to number 4. Will I ever get back in fat burn? Yes, right? In a perfect world, right? We would all do this perfectly beautiful transition into this beautiful 3 lean and green meal a day maintenance, right? With our 3 healthy snacks. But guys, life happens. How many of you take vacation? Oh wait, yeah, I do. How many of you eat like one too many Christmas cookies over the holidays? This girl, right? So even as health coaches, there are definitely times where we choose to go back into fat burn on the 5-in-1 program for a short or longer period of time. In fact, right now, the health coaches in our Optavia organization are spending the 10 days prior to Thanksgiving in a health tune-up. And we are getting back in fat burn on our chosen plan, 5-in-1, 4-in-2, whatever it may be, for 10 days. So there is definitely a place to get back into fat burn. If you have vacation, indulgence, life happens, it's always there to go back to. And sometimes it just feels good to give your body a reset. So yes, for sure a possibility to get back in fat burn. Question number 5. Hopefully this isn't too boring. I think I'm kind of long-winded, but I think this is a topic that's not spoken about quite as much that people need support on. So if you're here for it, I'm happy to help. All right, so number 5, why is it important for a gradual transition? Why do we not just go straight from fat burn into maintenance? And here's the answer, and Dr. Anderson said it very well, so I'm just gonna quote him here. So your body is much healthier now that you've gotten all the extra fat off, right? Because that's the point of fat burn, is that you lower your BMI and we're lowering the fat that our body is holding. And in order to continue making progress for long term, we need to transition our body back to the full range of healthy foods that Mother Nature provides, right? All the fruits, all the vegetables, all the things. However, in order to maintain a healthy weight, we need to make sure that we don't add too many calories or overstimulate our insulin production by adding really high glycemic foods all at once. That's why we have the process of transition from phase 1 to 2, is we're gonna slowly add those things back in over a period of weeks so that we don't shock our body. Because we've actually lost weight in the phase 1, it's important that the total calories that we consume is less, right? You've reduced your total size. So if you used to have a 2,000 calorie a day diet and you've lost 50 pounds, well, likely you won't need 2,000 calories a day to maintain that 50-pound weight loss. So what we need to do is we need to increase the set point that will allow us to gradually expend more energy. That's why it matters how much you eat, right? We want to keep the balance at the set point so that we can compensate, increase leptin, reduce insulin, and prevent transitional weight gain. And that all might sound like Greek to you, kind of does to me too a little bit, but this book really does put it in layman's terms. And that's going to lead us into the next question of our total energy expenditure. So hang tight. So you might be thinking, okay, Abby, you've told us why transition is important. You've told us how to know when to transition. Will I ever not transit? All the things, right? So now you're like, okay, I'm at my goal weight. I'm ready to transition. What do I do? Talk to your coach. But no, the first step in transition in part 1 is determining our total energy expenditure. It's called the TEE. And this video is not going to be comprehensive. Like I said, refer to the pages in the Life book and the Habits of Health book that I told you to. But your TEE is your total energy expenditure, which means you are going to add calories until you reach your set weight point, which is calories in equal calories out, right? So just for simple math, if I were going to eat an apple, let's say, and an apple was 90 calories, and I was going to walk a mile and I burned 90 calories in my mile, then that would be at set point, right? Calories in with my apple, calories out with my walk. So that's really oversimplifying it. But your total energy expenditure is just adding calories a little bit at a time. Right now, remember, we're in a calorie deprived state, right? We're burning more calories than we're consuming when we're in phase 1 weight loss. When we go into transition, we're going to slowly add calories until our calories in equals our calories out, and we're in a very happy state. This is accomplished by keeping insulin at a happy level, hence the eating every 2 to 3 hours. Remember, no crashes in insulin because we're going to keep it smooth by eating every 2 to 3 hours. Always the habit you're going to maintain, by the way, micro habit of health. But we're going to keep that at a healthy level, and that's going to keep the leptin's job of your body feeling full, working effectively. So that's your first step, is calculating your TEE, which specifically is talked about on page 274. And there is a definite formula, which I'm going to just briefly show you here. So you're going to take your current weight, you're going to multiply it by 11 calories, and that's going to equal your total energy expenditure. And then you're going to make an adjustment by adding in your current level of activity. So let's say for my math, you know, guys, I used to be a teacher, so that was my day job prior to, actually, no, that wasn't my day job. That was my career and my passion prior to becoming an Optavia coach. I like to say it was a change in assignment, not vocation. I'm still teaching. So for sake of math, let's say I weigh 150 pounds. I'm going to multiply that by 11, which all my math friends, that is going to equal, let's see if I still have my math brain about me, right? Let's see. That's going to equal 1,650 calories. And before I post this video, you can sure bet I'm going to check that, because my husband still is currently a math teacher and he will never let me live it down if I'm wrong about that. So as a 150-pound woman times 11 calories, 1,650 is my TEE. But now I have to multiply that by my activity level to get my total TEE for how many calories a day I need to be taking in. So there's a little tiny note in the book here that says, make sure you're fairly conservative when you select your current level of activity. Underestimate it so that if you're off, you won't have given yourself too high of a TEE. And so that is going to, you're going to see all the things. Your Habits of Health and Life book will talk to you about estimating that activity level, which is different for every person. So, in phase 1, you were eating on average probably around 1,000 calories a day. So your transition daily intake, calorie intake, you're going to subtract that from your phase 1, and you're just going to estimate how many calories you're going to be adding during transition, and we're going to move that up or down to keep our weight stable. So another side note, this is on page 275, and I want you to circle it and highlight it so that you don't freak out. Okay, your weight is going to increase a few pounds as you add back your glycogen stores and with it water. Remember, water and glycogen store together. Don't worry about it. It's going to stabilize in the first week or so, and you're going to remember you're going to recalculate this number as you track your weight over the next several weeks. This is why we do it slowly, guys. If you're off the first week, don't freak out. It's going to stabilize, okay? That's why it's important to transition. All right. Question number 7. This is becoming a really long video, but once again, I think it's important. So, what do I add and when? Part 2 of transition, after you've calculated your TEE and you know the number of calories you're supposed to be adding back in, is your transition eating plan, okay? So at the most basic level, you're going to be transitioning from the prepackaged fueling meals, okay? You've reached your healthy weight using those portion-controlled meals. Now we're going to add the full range of foods back into our diet. If you were already preparing a lean and green meal, which you should have been, this transition is going to be pretty easy for you. Okay, so we're going to introduce new foods in a logical order, which there is definitely a chart that shows you. Your chart is on page 277 of your life book. It is also on one of the pages in your Habits of Health book. I don't have that written down, but at the very most basic level, week 1, it's a 4-week transition program. Week 1, you're going to add additional vegetables. Week 2, you're going to add fruits. Week 3, you're going to add dairy. And week 4, you're going to add whole grains. So by the end of week 4, you will have added each of those food groups, and you're going to be consuming approximately 1,350 to 1,500 calories a day. So it's upping your calorie count quite a bit, from around 800 to 1,000, just depending on what you were doing, all the way up to 1,300 to 1,500. So you're making a big jump, and you're ready to make your lifelong transition, okay? Once again, we're not freaking over 5 pounds of weight gain in that transition period. You're gonna level up. Question number 8, we're getting close to the end, guys. Hang tight. As what does a typical day look like in transition? So there's several sample transition menus that I'm going to link in the description box of this video. But on page 330 of your Habits of Health book, there is one such example for week 4 of transition. And it kind of goes through there. There's for breakfast, it shows you're having a high fiber breakfast cereal, half a cup of milk, 1 cup of strawberries. It does use a fueling for your mid-morning snack. Lunch, you're going to have a more substantial lunch than you're used to with just a fueling. It'll be deli turkey, salad greens, cucumber, tomato, green pepper, plus dressing. So basically a lean and green, right, for lunch. Mid-afternoon, another fueling. Dinner, you're going to have a lean and green. And then evening would be a brownie or something like that with some fat-free whipped topping. So as you notice, some cereal was added in. You had some regular dairy milk, some fruit. We had 2 lean and greens. So you're just going to be adding in things as it goes. And it's going to give you plenty of sample menus for that, sample things you can plug in instead of fuelings. But you're still eating 6 times a day, because that's still really important. And you're still drinking all your water, because those are both micro habits of health that we keep for life. Should I still monitor my weight during transition? Yes. Your weight's going to fluctuate as your body gets used to the additional carbohydrates, salt, and calories. Because remember, you're not going to be in a fat burn state anymore. You're going to vigilantly monitor your weight and adjust your calorie intake up and down according to your TEE if you fluctuate by more than a few pounds for your healthy weight. If you notice that you're gaining weight, we're going to cut back on our calories a little bit. We're going to recalculate our TEE. Maybe you're not getting as much activity as you thought. And then we're going to adjust our intake accordingly. We're going to give our body time to readjust, and we're going to keep we're going to readjust that lower set point and be ready to catch yourself early. We are not looking for a gain of more than 5 pounds during transition. Holla, holla. Question number 10. So 4 weeks of transition are done. Now what? Well, you're going to do the next phase, which is longevity. And I'm just going to give you a snippet of that because we're running low on time. But you're going to go into Dr. Anderson's Habits of Health book to sections 2.4 through 2.7, which talk about longevity and optimal health. You're going to make sure that you have foods from all 4 food groups: fruits, vegetables, proteins, grains. Likely you're going to be using a 9-inch plate, which he talks about in there. So I ask you to check that out. And 25% of your 9-inch plate is one of each of those food groups. So that is what Dr. Anderson is going to lead you through in the transition from transition to the last phase. I really hope that this video was helpful to you and that it answered some of your questions. Transition can be a scary word for all of us because we're real comfortable on the 5-in-1. But the amazing news is that once an Optavia client, always an Optavia client, whether you're ordering the Fuelings or not. We are your coaches. We are here to help you. And Dr. Anderson does not leave us hanging. He gives us all the rules, the tools, and everything we need in these books to reach optimal health for life.